Yo, what's good, my people? It's your boy Big Chris, aka the Compton Animator, and I'm here to give you another WWE SmackDown review. So I'm reviewing WWE SmackDown for February 21st, 2014. And tonight's show, we talk about our first match, which it kicked off right at the start, which was with Daniel Bryan versus Jack Swagger of the Real Americans. Now, this match right here was a pretty cool little match. It played up on the whole idea of Jack Swagger, basically getting in there to beat down Daniel Bryan. Kind of Zeb Coulter telling him to beat down Daniel Bryan, to get him more hurt than he already is for the Elimination Chamber. Plus, also get a win for Jack Swagger. I felt that this match was pretty physical. You had a lot of good moves with Jack Swagger working the arm. This where he's throwing Daniel Bryan into the ring post and stuff like that, and just doing a lot of good moves onto Daniel Bryan. He worked the arm very well, throughout the match, slamming him on the arm, doing a lot of belly to belly slams on him and stuff like that, tossing him all around and making sure it projected onto his arm and stuff like that. The match came to an end. The match came to an end once Daniel Bryan hits a running knee out of nowhere, and it was a pretty good running knee. And I like the way that he's starting to hit this, out of instead of him building it up sometimes, but he's also now getting it where just come out of nowhere onto another guy. So yeah, that was a pretty good match from both of these guys. Daniel Bryan did get a lot of good offense in his match, but Jack Swagger was really doing a nice job breaking this match, and it also got the crowd really into it, throughout the whole match. So after that, you get Vicky Guerrero and Kane come out. Vicky says that since Bryan won this, that he gets to face in another match for as a reward, kind of like a heel tactic. Say, fuck it, we're gonna give you an award. It's another match. So the next match they decided to give him is versus Cesaro. So we get Daniel Bryan versus Cesaro. The crowd was pretty pumped for this, and so was I. The match itself was a very nice match, and keeping the first match kind of shorter, let this match have a lot of time to it. Both of these guys was very good. Daniel Bryan got a lot of good offensive in here, but so did Antonio Cesaro as well. One time during the match, you get Jack Swagger, who's walking up to falling on the outside Daniel Bryan with a chair, and the referee sees this, and he drops the chair right before anything can happen. So you get the ref starts. He goes and throws out both Zeb Coulter and Jack Swagger, which was just, I always love it when the ref throws the guys out, just because you get the reactions from the ref, from the crowd, and from the guys just being pissed off, and you get the guy in the ring just going crazy and stuff like that. It's always just a good thing to me, and I always want it to be inside of the ring and either get thrown out or be the ref that throws the dude out. So I always love those little parts of the segments. But yeah, like I said, it was just a very good match. Both of these guys did very physical in here, and I love seeing the big swing done onto Daniel Bryan. The crowd was kind of weirded out by it, because I don't know if they wanted to cheer or whatever to it, but they did start counting. Once they got to 5, they started going along with it. The match ended with another quick running knee to Antonio Cesaro, and before he can even go, Daniel Bryan can go to it and get a pin on him. You get Kane, who comes in and just choke slams Daniel Bryan, and I thought it was a pretty good just match as it was right there. What was next? Oh yeah, Kane chokeslammed Daniel Bryan, and Kane goes on the outside and basically says, "Oh, Cesaro's out by disqualification for me interfering." So yeah, basically. But the match with Cesaro was pretty good, and I loved how quick and how hard the running knee hit. That was a very good running knee he hit at the end. But yeah, you get a lot of really good stuff out of this match, and I thought it was a pretty good match. And the little interference for Kane did a nice little job, and to just having Kane keep beating down on Daniel Bryan like he is. And so after that, you get Antonio Cesaro, who came back in after Daniel Bryan was trying to get himself up, and hit Daniel Bryan with the neutralizer. So I thought this was a little excessive, but one thing I did like that it did draw a lot more heat for Antonio Cesaro, and actually throughout this whole match, Antonio Cesaro was getting a lot of heat drawn on him just for beating down on Daniel Bryan so well. So yeah, that was a pretty good match right there, and just two pretty good matches with Daniel Bryan and the Real Americans. So next match you get is the Wyatt family, which is you get Bray Wyatt, who comes out and cuts a promo at the beginning. Basically, what did he say in a promo? So he cuts a promo in the beginning, basically talking about, he's on a mission, and all these guys are going to come up against him and nobody can defeat him and stuff like that, and he's just going to go through everybody and beat them all down, and whoever's next is going to get beat down. I think it's similar to a promo that he cut a couple of weeks ago, but it was a pretty good promo. I can't remember because it was at the beginning of the show. But what we get next is the Wyatt family versus Cody Rhodes, Goldust, and Rey Mysterio, which I don't have a picture of him, but these two groups of guys did another very good job in just having another physical match here. You had the Wyatt family, who was very physical in their own right with all the power and the slams and stuff like that, but you had Cody Rhodes, Goldust, and Rey Mysterio, who had just a great way of just coming in and having their speed and their strikes, and just a lot of great moves to help the match go through. It was, like I said, it was just another very physical match between all these guys, and it had some slow spots in it, and where the Wyatts would beat down on the faces, but it never got too crazy or nothing like that, and the faces would always get spots where they'll come back and keep the crowd and going into it. I think we did start getting some JBL chants and stuff like that during this match, but it was a good job on Cody Rhodes and them, who kept coming through and stuff like that and making sure the crowd got into the match. And we also got a lot of good parts between Bray Wyatt and stuff, doing his creepy little things and stuff like that, so it kept the match exciting and it kept the crowd into the match every here and there. Like I said, the Wyatts just did a really good job in, making this match a lot of fun, and both teams was very good in here. So one of the best parts of this match was this big boot that Luke Harper gave to Rey Mysterio. It just came out of nowhere. I think Rey Mysterio was going for a 619, and Luke Harper reversed it and just hit him with this hellacious big boot that I was just like, damn. So it made me sit up and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a really good move right here. And towards the end of the match, you get who was it? Oh, Goldust, who is fighting Luke Harper. I mean, Eric Rowan. He's fighting Eric Rowan, and I had a lot of pictures for this one. Fighting Eric Rowan, and he goes in to do one of these old school moves that he does, where he kicks the dudes in the thigh or in the nuts, and then Eric Rowan tags in. Before this, tags in Bray Wyatt without Goldust knowing, and Bray Wyatt ends up coming out of nowhere and hitting the Sister Abigail on Goldust. So yeah, a pretty good match here. It was very entertaining and just as good as the first set of matches that we had with Daniel Bryan and them. But yeah, this match was pretty good, and I really liked it a lot. And you get Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family to come out with the win here. So before I talk about that, we had two backstage segments tonight, as I can remember these two. We had one with Christian, where he was basically setting himself up for the main event of the night, where he was just being asked, about his craziness and this kind of mood change that he had going on. And it was a very good promo from him. He gave it a sense of desperation. He gave a sense of, that this may be the last time that he's going to be able to go for these titles, and something needs to happen with Christian. And, he talked about himself being, just desperate and just, angry, and he just needs this so bad, and he came off as a very good heel right here. We had another promo with Sheamus, and I like this one as well because Sheamus came off as a bruiser here. He was very, just like, I just can't wait to fight, and I see Christian has a mood change from my bro kick that I gave to him. Well, kind of bring it and stuff like that. And he just came out as an Irishman that, wants a good fighting, take a couple hits and stuff like that, and just come out with, we're going to both get in there, we're just going to both brawl. And it was a very good two sets of promos that set up for the main event that was happening later on tonight. So the next thing segment we got here was a segment with Emma Santino, Summer Rae, and Fandango, and it was basically a dance off. Now I'm gonna go through this real quick. The dance off was pretty piss poor. It was basically them doing sets of dances, goofy ass dances on both sides. Emma doing goofy dances and Summer Rae doing the same dance she does coming to the ring. Um, Emma did something with a shopping cart or something like that and tried to do that stuff. And then they both went into their regular dances of Emma doing a bubble popping and Summer Rae doing the same thing. She comes down to the ring again. Um, and it was just very goofy and stuff like that. But my biggest problem with this here was that I know these girls. I know it was these. It was the writers here that could have came up with something way better for this. Um, it kind of pissed me off in a way because I've seen this group of people, Fandango, Santino, Summer Rae, and Emma on NXT and have segments. And the segments on there were very funny. They were done well. The match itself was very done well. And Emma and Summer Rae worked very well together. But when you have people that write it piss poorly and write goofy, it's not. I don't even have a problem with it being goofy and fun. It just has to be funny, you know. And it wasn't funny to me at all. The second half of what they were doing was a little bit of funny, but they waited so long on the dance off that it just really didn't matter. And another problem that went along with it was that we've seen this in this exact feud already before on this show. I think last week of SmackDown or Raw, we seen the same thing or whatever it was that Emma first debuted a couple weeks ago. We saw this exact same dance off thing. So, it really wasn't anything either new that we haven't seen or something different, And I really wish the writers would, if you're going to have gag segments that are funny and stuff like that, they need to be funny and stuff like that. It doesn't need to be this cheesy. And I do blame this on the PG era because this is where we first started getting this, cheesy version of, of these dance offs and stuff like that was during like the beginning and middle of the PG era, and this is like the last hints of it still going on. But where it did start getting a little okay at was when they actually started getting physical with each other, and Summer Rae goes to try to throw Emma out of the ring. Emma actually ends up throwing Summer Rae out of the ring, and then Fandango starts to flirt with Emma, and Emma ends up pushing him over Santino and kicking him out of the ring. So I thought that was okay, and the last little bit of dancing, which was okay because the crowd got into it, but everything else to this was very piss poorly just written. And the girls tried to go with it, and the guys tried to go with it, but it was very piss poorly done. So next we get a match with Dolph Ziggler and Titus O'Neil. Dolph Ziggler versus Titus O'Neil. And you had Darren Young on commentary. This was another just very mediocre match, and it's not because of the guys in the ring. It's just because they didn't give them enough time to do anything. And it just felt like it was all about the stuff that was happening between Titus and Darren Young, and it never felt like the match meant anything to this. You could tell the guys in the ring could have done something with this if they were given time or given motivation to it, but it was what it was, and it was very mediocre. It wasn't bad, but it was very mediocre. You had Darren Young towards the end of the match who goes for an interruption when he takes Titus O'Neil's whistle and starts blowing the whistle, and that throws off Titus O'Neil and disrupts him, and then he ends up getting pinned by a roll-up by Dolph Ziggler. So at least Dolph Ziggler got a win out of this in some way and fashion. But Darren Young walks out of the ring with the whistle and starts whistling and pissing off Titus O'Neil. So like I said, this I like the storyline, and I like the interaction between the guys. Both Titus O'Neil and Dolph Ziggler were very interactive in the ring and kept the crowd cheering for and hating on either one of them by doing their little gags and taunts in the ring and stuff like that. But if there's no match for it, then it's very piss poor. You can do the same thing and have a good match here, and they had the time to do it. They just didn't have to do the dumbass Raw rebounds that they've been doing. And they did a Raw exclusive here where they showed a Monday Night Raw match, and they showed like the whole Jack Swagger versus Kingston and Biggie Langston versus the 3MB guys match. They showed that whole match, which went on for like 15 minutes, and it took up 15 minutes that these guys could have took up at least 5 more minutes of that, or a good check section of that to set up this feud between um, Darren Young and Titus O'Neil. And it's just these both little segments right here with Santino Marella and Fandango and them, and then this one with Titus O'Neil and Darren Young. They just really brought down the show for me, and I was like, man, this could have been so much better done because the guys who were in the ring could really make this fun. So next we get a match with one of the Usos versus Road Dogg. And this is where the story started to pick itself back up. This match was pretty fun. You had the Usos who kept the crowd into it, and so was Road Dogg. They both were, really good with handling the crowd and, saying things that got the crowd kind of hyped, or, doing the Uso thing. And, they both were doing an okay job of, making sure the match stayed cool. It wasn't a really good match or even really a good match. It was a pretty okay match. And I thought they did an okay job of doing what they need to do here. And it started to pick back up the show before, the next thing that happened. The Uso had a lot of offense here, and he did a really good job of, just showing how stronger and how quicker and stuff like that he was than Road Dogg. And I like, just his move set here and everything that he did onto Road Dogg. Did a very nice job, and he ends up winning with a super kick out of just crazy super kick out of hell. So he ends up winning and beating Road Dogg. And another funny thing happened at the end where Road Dogg looked knocked out and Billy Gunn had to drag him out of the ring. And I got a good little laugh at that. And you get the Usos who's dancing at the end and interacting with the crowd and stuff like that. And that was pretty cool. So next you get a match with Sheamus versus Christian, which is your main event. And this match right here was a pretty fun match. It was a very just bruiser match. Both of these guys were going in on each other and just tit for tat, just beating the shit out of each other. Sheamus and Christian had a lot of good moves on for each other, just strikes and blows and slams and stuff like that. And Christian did a very good job of just beating down on Sheamus at certain points and beating down on his arm and stuff like that. And Sheamus as well coming back and doing his power moves and stuff. And both of these guys did a very good job of just doing exactly what they needed to do in this match. One point in this match, which I think was one of the best parts of this match, is they get onto the side of the barricade. Sheamus does a spear type of move or like a shoulder blow type of move onto Christian onto the barricade, and then Christian, once he throws Sheamus over the barricade, moves the padding, takes Sheamus's arms, put it through the barricade, and just starts dragging his shoulder into the barricade. And that was pretty good, just seeing Sheamus' shoulders get slammed into that metal. And that was just really nice to see and just very brutal for him to do. And it made the match feel better. Towards the end of the match, you get Sheamus who starts to come back, and Christian is coming back as well. But Sheamus ends up hitting a very nice what do you call this move? White noise on a Christian, and it was just a very nicely done move, and I liked it. I liked how it was done a lot. So yeah, you had a pretty good move here, and it was just very cleanly done, and it gave Sheamus the win. So Sheamus gets the win, and then where's that picture at? Hold on a second, I just saw it a second. Oh, here it is. So when Sheamus is celebrating, you get Christian who runs up and knocks Sheamus off the turnbuckle and knocks him onto the floor, which is a very good, just Christian gets the last little assholeless piece of Sheamus out of there and stuff like that, and just throws him out of the ring. So that was just very good to see them to just have a good match, which I didn't even expect it to be a good match, but have a good match and come off that way. So for me, this was a okay SmackDown. You had a very good, I say, first hour. The second hour the first end of the first half of the hour and the second hour very dragged on a lot. The Raw rebound thing that they did, or the Raw exclusives, whatever you call it, just was unnecessary. I don't know why. If they're doing a Raw rebound, I would love for them to do, where they chop up a match and show parts of it for 4 or 5 minutes, 5 minutes at the most, and then have the rest of it being new content. But 15 minutes of a Raw rebound is just way too much. The Santino and the Titus O'Neil segments, Their matches are the Santino segment and the Titus O'Neil match was poorly written, not really that funny, and did really bunch of nothing to move along story and stuff like that. And I know the WWE can do way better than that, but the Uso match and the Sheamus match was a pretty good match. So most definitely the Sheamus match was very brutal, and I liked the way that it was done. And if I would have to score it, I would probably give it I would probably go with a I would go with a C plus. I thought it wasn't. I thought it was an average, a little bit above average show. The matches in itself were very good, and they kept the show going on, but and going into the pay per view, but it didn't really have the full feeling of a go home SmackDown. Like I said, the matches were good, but it could have been a lot better, especially from what we got in last week's SmackDown, which I thought was way better, and probably should have been the one that they used for the go home show to the pay per view. So, like I said, just about the pay per view, we have a pay per view coming up, and the pay per view is Elimination Chamber. And when I do my review, I'll talk about the build up to the pay per view, which was pretty good this time around. I thought they did a pretty good job of building up to the Elimination Chamber pay per view, and I'm gonna give my predictions for what I think the matches are, how are going to come out on Elimination Chamber pay per view. This video is already 20 minutes, so I'll try to give it in 5 or so minutes. So the kickoff show match, you have the Rhodes Brothers versus Ryback. A lot of people complain, why is the Rhodes Brothers on this kickoff show? To me, like I've always said, the kickoff show is just basically there to get you to buy the pay-per-view. And, to say, if you give you a good match, maybe you'll buy the pay-per-view. And, to give you at least a small inkling of a star to make you buy the pay-per-view. But these two teams have been having a little bit of a feud for the last 2 weeks, and I just wanted to see a good match between these guys. I want to see the Rhodes Brothers get as much as they can out of Ryback and basically come out with the win here. If not, hopefully then Ryback can either get a lot of heel heat off of this and probably get something if they win. But I predict the Rhodes Brothers coming out with the win here. Before I start talking about the main card matches, there's 2 matches that I think may happen, which is you may get a Divas match with AJ Lee and Cameron. I think that's the girl's name. AJ Lee and Cameron. Because of Naomi not being there, but you may not. So if that happens, I pick AJ Lee to win because they're saving it for Naomi. But if another match that I predict we may end up getting as a filler is Fandango and Summer Rae versus Santino and Emma. And for that one, Santino and Emma may win that one. It's just basically going to end up being a filler match if it does happen. But the rest of the card, we have Titus O'Neil versus Darren Young. I see Titus O'Neil coming out with the win here. He's on a push, you can tell right now, and I think they're moving him up to be whatever type of big heel that they are trying to set up for, either Roman Reigns or Big E Langston or somebody. They're setting him up to be like a powerhouse heel for somebody there. Another match that we have coming up is Alberto Del Rio versus Batista. Batista's going to win this. This is basically a match to get Batista back on the show and get him a match coming back. Next we have the Rhodes Brothers. I mean, not the Rhodes Brothers, the Usos. That's because it's a tag team. I keep thinking Rhodes Brothers, but you have the Usos versus the New Age Outlaws. Surprisingly, I see the New Age Outlaws retaining here, but by DQ, and I see them actually moving this match on at WrestleMania so the Usos can win the belt at WrestleMania and have it probably be like a elimination match for the belt or something like that, or a triple threat tag team match or something like that. So yeah, I see the New Age Outlaws winning here by disqualification. Next we have, let's see. I don't have the matches in front of me. Okay. Next we have the IC title match, which is Big E Langston versus Jack Swagger. For that, I see Big E Langston coming out with the win here. They're deep pushing Jack Swagger just by showing him, either messing up what is the good that he has going on with the Real Americans or whatever that's coming from that. But I see Big E Langston most definitely coming out with the win here. It would be interesting if Jack Swagger actually came out to win here, and so did Cesaro come out with a win, and seeing the Real Americans hold both of those belts, and they push that onto WrestleMania. But I most definitely see Big E Langston coming out with the win here. Any other matches that we have? Um. Well, I guess I can talk about the elimination. Oh, before I even go there, I just almost forgot about this. The Shield versus the Wyatt family. I expect this to be a very good match. Both the Shield and the Wyatt family have been building up this match very nicely. I think this is probably one of the best things the WWF done for the last few months as far as build up to a match. The guys haven't touched each other since the first time they even made contact for a fighting is on Monday Night Raw, and before that they haven't touched each other since their first, set of contact and glints of this may happening a few months back. There were very good promos between both sets of teams and some really good matches going on to build up to this match. And I just like that it kept it at the at a very pounding heartbeats pace with this. And not really giving you everything, but just bringing up the tension of the match so much that you could tell that once these guys get in the ring, the crowd is just going to go nuts for this. But as far as who's going to win this match, I actually see the Wyatt family coming out with the win here, either by one of these Shield members, either with one of these Shield members kind of fucking up and the Wyatts get a win, or one of the Shield members, probably Dean Ambrose, just saying, you know what, fuck it, I don't care anymore, and them setting up for something for the WrestleMania between all three of the Shield guys. But I most definitely see the Wyatts coming out with the win here, and I see this being a very good match. In the last match on the card that we have is the Elimination Chamber match, which is what's the boys' names? Antonio Cesaro, Sheamus, Christian, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, and I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. Antonio Cesaro, Sheamus, Christian, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, John Cena. So with this here, I'm not gonna predict who I see getting eliminated, whatever. But as far as the winner goes, I see Randy Orton winning. I think they want to get him versus Batista as the championship match. I don't think it's going to be the main event for WrestleMania, but I think they're going to be the championship match at WrestleMania. And we're probably going to have some interference by Kane here to get Daniel Bryan eliminated, or Triple H to get Daniel Bryan eliminated. I see Cesaro being big in this match, and I see Christian doing a lot in this match. But as far as first person to get eliminated, surprisingly, I think Sheamus is going to be the first to get eliminated. And it's going to be down to probably Randy Orton, John Cena, and Daniel Bryan. And then it's going to be down to Cena and Orton, and Orton's going to come out with the win here. So yeah, that's my Elimination Chamber pay-per-view predictions, and that was my SmackDown review. And thank you for watching. Peace.